Alright guys, Scrappy again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Another big weekend upcoming here for OpTic Texas, and Kenny has revealed exactly what is going on behind the scenes right now in terms of their team culture and chemistry, saying that it feels like the teamwork that they have, they've been teaming together for a very long time, and he feels they're only on the verge of getting even better and maybe some victories in their very near horizon in terms of event dubs. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, we're going to talk about Kremp. Here he is, our favourite racing driver in the competitive COD scene, and this is like a thing, yeah, professional racers daily workout. Funny, right, that, you know, obviously he's a racer now, right? Obviously in real life, you guys aren't aware what Kremp's been up to, been training hard to get in good shape to race IRL. He obviously retired from COD, went to do the sim racing thing for FaZe, and he's still with FaZe, but he's now driving this weekend actually at Subliners in Florida. So if you guys are in Florida, then feel free to have a look. Here he is actually, pretty cool stuff. Finally seeing it in person. Just got word that each car POV will be able to be streamed live to Twitch and YouTube. So I believe that Crimstappen has been working hard to try and make it so that you can actually watch the race live from his POV or just watch the race live in general. So yeah, this is what's happening. And here he is with his car. Obviously he's driving in the Porsche Champion Series North America, something like that anyway. And well, here he is, number 86, Porter number 86. Here he is. He actually looks in really good shape as well here. I'm really impressed with, like, you know, Porter getting himself in good shape over the last couple of months here to get this done. And as Krim says, my chariot for the season livery is done. What do you guys think? First race this weekend. Anyone's near Subliners, Florida, stop by and have a look. So he's driving as number 86. I believe that he responded to someone and said that he didn't really have a choice about this. It's based on the team and the numbers that they had. So that's just kind of how it's going to be. Because if you had to choose a number, I think he's like, well, either 6 is a good one, right, for Krim 6, or I think he's had 38 before sometimes, just because that's the number of championships he's won, right? Which is actually pretty cool, to be fair. So yeah, but he's going as Porter 86 this weekend. So yeah, Godspeed, Porter. I hope he goes well. Bit of drama as well, as you might expect here, between the ARs and the SMGs. Fellow puts out what's the better gun, and I voted the MCW. To be fair, I don't really know if honestly, I think it's pretty damn close between the two weapons, to be honest. aBeZy says if the MCW didn't fall, but it'd be pretty even. Again, as we always see, players are disagreeing on this. I know that Nastie, I think, was in the reply saying, you know, one of these clouds voted at, right, the rival's the God gun, and Kenny often says that the rival is, you know, the Ray gun or whatever they called it. But aBeZy, as an SMG player, was like, no, the MCW is still the best gun. And to be honest, it probably is, all things considered. And maybe aBeZy's right that if the MCW didn't fall bullet, it'd be pretty even, which is also possibly true. But we know with one headshot, the full bullet comes through, and then it's a really strong weapon. I still think they should change it to what happened with the Krig back in Black Ops Cold War, when that gun was very similar to the MCW. It used to be 5 shots to the body, and then 4 shots if you had 1 headshot. They then changed it so that you needed 2 headshots and 2 body shots to hit the 4-shot kill, which I thought added skill, because instead of having a random headshot that gets you down to 4 bullets to kill, you actually could aim for it. And if you did aim for it, then you could hit 2 bullets, and then you'd actually kill them faster. If you wanted to kill them in 4 bullets, you had to deliberately aim for it and actually hold the aim there, which was actually a bit of a skill gap, I thought. So maybe they'll do that, but let's be honest, they probably won't. There will be more competition, though, as well in this space, because Vahn confirmed yesterday what we thought was actually going on, really, with a new game studio called Vahn. We can maybe head to the website here to see what's going on. But yeah, we saw this talked about. Obviously, there was that barn with all the stuff happening, and yeah, here we are. So we'll see what happens here. But it's quite clear, as they say, Vahn is a new game studio that seeks to redefine what it means to make and play AAA action-adventure experiences. So, brand new game studio that are going to be working on a AAA co-op game in Unreal Engine 5. So I'm not sure it's going to be necessarily a COD competitor in the same way that they're going to come up with, you know, like an X-Defiant type thing, but it's still pretty cool, right? The Vahn starting a new studio, and I think potentially a lot of the former Treyarch guys are heading here as well. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly they come up with. I'm sure whatever they do is going to be pretty killer. Of course, you know, Vahn no longer part of Treyarch. I know there's been some talk as well that NetEase Games, they're like Chinese company, so I don't really know like exactly whether that's good or bad, right? But, you know, I know people have been discussing it, so thought I'd mention it. And as Clay goes on to say, we're here on X at Bullet Farm Games. If you're so inclined, follow along on the journey. And Clay is pretty hyped for whatever they're going to come up with. But we've got to talk as well about what Kenny had to say over the last couple of days. Dashy as well put up a YouTube video last night for the first time in a rather long time. So it is great to see, by the way, just before we get into this, how many pros, I saw like PD Gaming put this on the Reddit the other day, have just been making content. Now, I know people say, oh, like all the thumbnails are the same. And to be fair, they are. but, you know, this is the thumbnail meta on this type of content, and look, it works. I mean, you're like, Pred's been turning up his YouTube game. Obviously, we know what Shotzzy's done on YouTube over the last several months. Even Havoc as well, I think, deserves so much credit for what he's achieved. Havoc was always a great personality, but just the way it's gone for Havoc and the fact that he's thriving as a content creator, I think is just great to see. But also Scrappy, right? I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer for Scrap to finally get some content out there, and it's really been gaining some traction. But Kenny especially, I think, has done a great job because, I mean, look, it's pretty easy, let's be honest, for big personalities like Scrap, Shotzzy, Pred, Dashy, etc. to just drop in, you know, ranked play, Pro 8s, whatever, and it's great content, and I think the more of it, the merrier, and there's other things they can do as well. But to be fair to Kenny, I think he's done a great job exploring other angles. The gameplay breakdowns are so good. I also really, well, it's kind of what Kenny does, but what really got me into competitive COD back in the day, I'm not gonna lie, was when I'd watch Scump's like just public match montages, gameplays, you know, dropping 130 kills, whatever it was, and then he would go to an event, play, that I wouldn't watch because I didn't really know what was going on. He'd then come back from the event and do like a post-event vlog, right? So he'd just sit in front of a camera really and talk about what's happened about the games, which to be fair is pretty similar to what Kenny does, but I feel like other pros, those like post-event recaps or whatever that Scump used to do, I thought would be really valuable for, like, if loads of players did that, I think it would just be fantastic because, you know, there's people that watch Shotzzy that are kind of aware that he's a pro player, but I don't know if they necessarily will watch his competitive matches. So I think there's still more of that audience to find. But anyway, having said that, Kenny did another listen-in just the other day, and we saw yesterday that he'd mentioned that they're apparently slamming teams in scrims at the moment, but also just discussing the team culture in general. It's a big point now, especially what we said earlier today. Yes, the game isn't in the greatest state, but if you can look at the game state as it is and try and learn as much as you can and at least be confident that you're going to improve and do better, because it's like Invasion P4, the spawns are a mess. You keep spawning palace again and again and again, but, you know, it's readable. Like, you can set up a trap where you know that the spawns are stupid and they're going to spawn palace, but after they do, then you can actually try and trap them in and make it work from there. So there are ways that instead of complaining about the game, you actually can try and use it to your advantage in some respects. Maybe that's not always the case, but having that mindset, I think, is positive. And Kenny says that basically that is part of the mindset that the OpTic guys now have.
It's a very like critical mistake, but it's also an easier one to fix. You know what I mean? Like, nobody really I feel like with this team, one thing I will say, like, I will super tip is, like, there's not very much like disagreements or arguments going on with this team, and that's something I'm loving about this team, is that, like, I feel like we have very, very constructive criticism out of every single player on the team, and I feel like every single player is like, we all have good reaction to criticism. I feel like we all take criticism well, and I feel like as a team we get through mistakes pretty easy. Like, in that one, like, we're like saying, like, yo, like, we should have did this, and Brandon's like, yeah, I blacked out, that's on me, like, I should have brought the bomb B, that's on me. AG's like, yeah, I could have came to y'all, but I tried to do this, and like, we have a good system that we got going on. Let's just say that. Not to go into detail, we have a good system going on, and I feel like I've said this before in my stream, I feel like this team feels like I've been on this team for years. Like, we've been teaming for years. The way we, like, act and approach each other, I guess that's not a really good word, but, like, approach practice together as a team, and talk to each other and give criticism and take criticism. So for me, W. Definitely something we want to work on.
And I think it is quite clear to see as well that in basically every piece of content that comes out of the OpTic camp, these guys are, like, vibing out of control. We don't really see this too much from other teams. Like, they don't make the same content on the same level that OpTic do, so it is tough to say exactly what their culture and chemistry is, but whenever you watch these Game Jet episodes, you just know that these guys get along really well outside of the game, and I do think that's massively important. Kenny certainly feels that way, and also just, you know, believing in each other as teammates means that when somebody makes a mistake, they're happy to own up to that mistake and actually try and fix it. So these are definitely positive, well, attitudes from the team. There's also, of course, been talk about JP and Karma behind the scenes and the way that they're structuring their coaching staff, and whether that kind of mentality from Karma and others is going to come into play at some point. From a team chemistry perspective, I think there's no doubt that OpTic are in a great spot, but whether that translates into winning, I think that's the other point that now people are going to want some answers to, right? Because sure, your chemistry can be great, the team can be vibing well and really liking each other, but are they doing the steps behind the scenes to contribute to actually becoming a winning team? That, I think, is kind of the next step here for these OpTic guys to prove, because Dashy is one of the top AR KRs in the game. He still leads the Breaking Point OBJ Player of the Year ladder based on the amount of hill time he's been picking up. To be fair, Awakening's actually up here at P4 as well, despite a kind of rough season from a slaying perspective. Even Envoy here as well, P3, Insight second, Simp is down at 5th. Well, some players that you might expect. I don't imagine Kismet's too far away from this, to be fair, either, especially if New York Subliners keep on improving. This is OpTic's run, by the way, as well, so they play Ravens, Boston, then these are where the tests come into play, right? They play Toronto and Subliners right before the major, so those are two big tests for OpTic, and I think it's going to become clear over the next couple of months whether the great chemistry and the system they seem to have in the game OpTic is actually going to translate to results, because that's always been the point, that sure, OpTic, they vibe, you know, good vibes and all this type of stuff, but when it comes down to like winning mentality, they're not always there. I think Kenny's got that, I think the coaching staff over there have that, but obviously there is still more to prove until they've actually won an event this season. These are their major 3 qualifier runs as well, so it well, I guess it's pretty straightforward as well, theoretically. Sure, they play FaZe first, and we don't know how good these teams are going to be at that time. By this time, Boston might be frying by the 3rd of May, but possibly not. Surge, Vegas, Miami, Boston, Gorillas, Thieves. So definitely smells like another winner's bracket start as far as I'm concerned. Just one other pretty crazy stat to close out the video here with from Brian as well on Simp, the only player in COD history to have won a tournament with every single one of the teammates that he's played with. Of course, this isn't necessarily true now he's playing with Drazah. This was true before they dropped Slasher, but now he's got Drazah on the team, of course. They still need to win one with him, which surely they will, but it's pretty remarkable that this is true. I guess Crimstappen and those guys can't have been far away, but of course, Kremp came into the Vanguard season, and, well, obviously they didn't win with Vivid, did they, when he played with him back in, and also Fellow, I'm guessing, as well, when they played with those guys back in Cold War on Dallas Empire, and then the year after, that Subliners team was a bit of a shambles at the start with Neptune and with, like, Royalty, so, yeah, I guess Kremp kind of fell off the wagon there, and, like, Simp hasn't had that many teammates, right? Slasher, Clay, Priestahh, Priestahh, Maniac, Major Maniac, RCT, Cellium, and aBeZy, but, you know, still not as many wins as you'd think, is it, really, between these guys over the last few years, and so far, 0 for 1 with Drazah, but still, some good time to turn that around, and of course, in addition to those great matches, Ultra versus OpTic, and OpTic versus Subliners that are coming up over the coming weeks, we do have this weekend's FaZe versus Toronto, so that's another really telling series, I think, in terms of how these teams are presently stacking up, but very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Hello guys, are we good?
Watch your front.
On in front of me. Let on me dead.
Fucking Christ, bro. Why is this kid so good at COD? It's not fucking... It makes no fucking sense, dude. It makes no fucking sense. He shouldn't be this fucking good at COD, bro. He shouldn't be this fucking good.